I think it might be Anthem. I can't think of anything else that had so much going for it. I don't think we ever really believed that it could be anything special after Mass Effect Andromeda. But it is BioWare, one of the most legendary Western RPG creators of all time. And at some point, like going into it, I was like, well, maybe there's something we're missing. Maybe there's something that'll be in here that will be more than the big flying Iron Man adjacent mechs with guns thing that they were sort of showing off. And no, that's literally the entire game. And it only got worse from there. All the weird TIE Fire stuff that came out in regards to Kotaku doing this big old deep dive, talking to the employees, going, how the hell did this happen? And they were just like, well, we didn't really know how to make like a military style shooter, so we just sort of went for it. And apparently there was an internal mandate to not let them look at Destiny. They weren't allowed to sort of consult on Destiny, even though clearly there was a lot of comparisons. And Anthem could have just been a third-person Destiny style raid shooter thing. And so yeah, it kind of just all falls apart. And even playing Anthem, although the shooting I think is solid enough, I quite like the way that it feels in terms of the flight mechanics and stuff. It's just so empty, and they don't like. It's just, you can tell that they really struggled to bring it over the finish line. And again, going back to that Kotaku thing, even the flight mechanics weren't even in it until like the last couple of months, where they were in it and then taken out of it and then put back in again. And they mainly put them back in to try and please someone who was visiting the office at the time. And it's just like, come on, man, like, you're BioWare, for God's sake. And so mine's probably going to be Anthem. I think that is the thing that should have been so much more. Even if glimpses of the BioWare magic were in there, it would have saved it a little bit. But instead, it was just a big old mech shooter thing, and it kind of exemplified everything that's wrong with like this year's games, or this generation, or the industry right now. So yeah, I don't have an ending other than that it sucked, to be honest.
They should have put some Mass Effect 3 in it.
They should have put some Mass Effect 2 in it. 2.
What do you feel about first-person sex scenes in video games?
Good.
Because the year is 2019, and for some reason Terminator Genesis has been released. Not Genesis, Terminator Resistance, because there's so many damn Terminator things now. I can't... And they're all different timelines. Like, I can't keep them together or comprehend them. Like, Dark Fate came out a few months ago. That was kind of alright, but now really probably me and Scott did a war crime by saying it was okay.
It was alright.
I don't know anymore. Is it alright? I don't know. But Terminator Resistance, how about 2 dodgy first-person sex scenes with 2 different women? Good. One of them you lied to get this sex scene.
Bad.
Yeah?
Bad.
And there's a little heart symbol next to the dialogue tree that, like, oh, that's the sex one.
At least there's love behind it.
Yes, barely. It's yar. But yeah, dodgy shooting, like everything looks pretty much terrible. For some reason there's all these like dialogue trees, like they will remember that. No one cares. The only thing, look, spoilers, the only reason they're going to remember this is because you need to tell them to bugger off before everyone dies. And you're meant to feel bad if everyone dies.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
But yeah, it's just, for some reason we got a mediocre licensed game in 2019. It's pretty crap. Maybe spend 15 quid on it if you like the Terminator stuff. The T-800s look pretty good, apart from that. And also the models look terrible during these scenes.
So you did do the scenes?
Oh, I did both of them.
Of course.
I thought they were supposed to be abhorrent, Ben Roy.
What?
I thought they were supposed to be abhorrent. You didn't want anything to do with it.
See, it was for integrity for the review.
Your rank.
Anthem's crap though as well.
Right, okay, now this is my personal opinion. It is the opinion of Ash Millman and Ash Millman alone that she is standing by, and I'm talking in third person now because she is great. But my personal opinion, not necessarily what's the worst game of the year objectively, but subjectively, please, I just want to make that clear, is Sekiro.
Oh, you were always going to do this, and now you've gone and done it.
I have, yeah. But look, FromSoft games just don't sit well with me. For me, it was a waste of time. Like, it's a good game. It's well put together. It gives people things that they like, apparently. But for me, it was just, it's so difficult for difficult's sake. It isn't an enjoyable experience. It's something you do to say, oh, I've done that. It's not playing a game. It's not entertainment. It's just like, oh, okay, tick that off my list. Great, that was. Really enjoyed putting myself through hell for weeks on end. I'm just not about that life. I've played it. I've played a bit of it. I did not enjoy it. I did not want anything to do with it. It was cheap. The hitboxes were cheap. The combat was difficult. Like, for me, it just wasn't what gaming is. Gaming is about like having an experience, having a storytelling narrative that you get involved with and that draws you in. And yes, Sekiro had those like points to it. It had things that I wanted to find out. It had a really great narrative that was hidden around things that you had to go and dig through to piece it all together. That was really good, but that it's hidden behind this like wall of pain and shame and a horror, like just oh man, it just was not for me. So it was my worst game of the year. I recognise that it is a good game. I recognise that people will enjoy it. Recognise that Scott Telford might have put it as game of the year, so it's a very differing opinion. I don't know. Spoilers. No, for me, just, no. Not fun. Not a fun
Do you
time.
remember when you gave up on it, when it was like, this is too much?
Yes.
What was that?
When I put the disc in. Honestly, I did that Chained Ogre about 17 different times for different reasons. As in, we did it for a stream, I did it for trying it out somewhere else, and then I played it on my own. And I got past that, I got further in, but the third time I killed the Chained Ogre, or faced the Chained Ogre, I think I killed him once. The third time I faced him, I was like, you know what? Why am I doing this again? Why am I starting this again? I don't need to, and I know he was really early on, so please believe me, I have played more of it, but that was the point where I did it again. I got there and carried on. I was like, my heart is not in this. What am I doing this? I'm not proving this to myself. I'm not proving this to anyone else. I'm just causing pain, literally. I need to go and sit and do something nice instead, go and crochet instead. I couldn't do it. I hate it. It gets me all wound up talking about it. I'm wound up thinking about Sekiro again. Not a fan. Worst game of the year for me. I'm glad. I'm happy for you if you enjoyed it, but for me,
I don't think you are.
I'm not. Just sickos and sadists and masochists, honestly. I'm out.
So I know everyone's going to be talking about Anthem because it really is the worst game of the year. I'm just going to give Rich a bunch of clips because these clips are the worst game I've ever played in my life because the controls were buggy, the whole game was stuttery as hell, and in this footage that's going up right now, I'm constantly moving my mouse, and every single stutter you see is actually the game, and it's not me at all. It's just absolute crap, and I literally just could not stand much of it at all. It was absolutely horrible. So instead, I'm going to kind of cheat and say Iron Fury. Now, I will reiterate, it is a bloody amazing game. Everything about it is just brilliant. The gameplay is great. It's great to see a Doom-esque game in 2019 come out, and with, I think it was about 70 megabytes to download as well. It's really, really, really small. On my Game of the Year list, it's actually 4th, funny enough. But there's one major issue about it, and that's the developer's void point behind them. Now, a few days after the release, they went on their Discord and just posted a bunch of transphobic, homophobic comments, and it really, really annoyed me because it just made me really sad because it was just absolutely horrible. For a game this amazing and a game that was could have been the pivotal point of bringing out Doom-esque games again, it was just an absolute shame, and it's pretty much why it's the worst game of the year, because of Void Point, just what they've done behind it, and it's just absolutely despicable. You should not ever be saying those things in 2019, especially in a public Discord. They're all online, so you can search for it if you want, but I will not be repeating those messages at all. But yeah, don't give them your money at all. It's just not worth it.
As somebody who is a big Wolfenstein fan, this is going to come to, and a big old f***ing wolf. This might come as a bit of a shock, but one of my least favourite games of 2019 is Wolfenstein Youngblood, which I had a big old throb on for come the summer. Sorry, Ash. I mentioned my throb on to Ash too many times. The idea of taking Wolfenstein as a universe and the gameplay of it, when they ported it over to the id Tech engine for Wolfenstein New Colossus, and everything felt brilliant. It's like bringing that into give me a new Wolfenstein game with co-op, which I played with Jules for quite a few hours. We played that together because we were both really excited about it. And Youngblood wasn't what I was expecting. I wanted, as weird as it is to say, a single-player experience, as Wolfenstein is, but just obviously with another person, with co-op. But it was kind of missold as being that, and in reality it was some kind of weird hub world leveling up, sort of semi-RPG kind of trying to be a loot grind thing without the loot grind. It kind of felt really odd. It didn't make any sense at all. They brought Arcane on to help with the big open levels, and I thought, big open levels, because they always said in Wolfenstein, levels are always very open, you can go whichever direction you want, and that kind of isn't the case in the single player games. In this, it definitely was, but everything just felt really dumb and pointless in that. It's give me a really nailed down, very, not even corridor driven, narratively very corridor, a corridor narrative. But instead they tried to make this whole you can keep coming back to this and do loads of different stuff, and it's I don't want that. Just give me a story about killing Nazis, give me some context as to why BJ ran off. Thanks for spoiling a certain thing about I'm assuming the continuation of the Wolfenstein trilogy in this game. Like, way to just name drop that, like something we haven't seen yet. And oh yeah, this happened. Oh, thanks, Machine Games and Arcane, that's great. But yeah, Youngblood is something I was so excited for, and I still think, how have I not finished this? How have I not forced myself to finish this as a Wolfenstein fan, to get all the story beats and know everything? Because I'm not the kind of person to just go and watch all the cutscenes and call it a day. But it just never brings me back to it, and it's a real shame that Wolfenstein has this dud in this new era repertoire, and it sucks.
Just beige the game.
Beige. It's still beautiful, plays really well, but it's crap, like Rage 2. Hey, well done Bethesda, you completely f***ed the year.